All right, shalom, shalom. This is Brother Kashakwala coming back at you with another lesson. This is the second installment to Let's Take a Look Into It. All right, this is Let's Take a Look Into It number 2. And we're gonna take a look into who you see on the screen, Sennacherib. All right, which was an Assyrian king during the time, as you can see, during the time of 705 BC to 681 BC, and during that time the Israelite king at the time, the righteous king, was King Hezekiah, which we're gonna get in Second Chronicles, the 32nd chapter. Also, you can read about it in the second book of Kings, but I'm gonna go to the book of the Chronicles. I might jump into the second book of Kings before King Hezekiah, so we can get an establishment on where and what position this particular ruler of the Assyrians was, all right, in time and history, and who ruled before him and who ruled after him. And matter of fact, we're gonna jump into that right now. So I'm gonna read just the first sentence of this paragraph real quick. It's Sennacherib was the king of Assyria from 705 BC to 681 BC. Correct. I'm gonna skip down a little bit. All right, it says he was assassinated in obscure circumstances in 681 BC, apparently by his eldest son, his designated successor, Assaradon. All right, Assaradon was the youngest. Okay, when you look into Assaradon, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I think he was the king during the time of the book of Tobit. This is Tobit chapter 1 and 1. Matter of fact, I'll pull it up on the screen just for edification purposes real quick. And don't quote me on this one. All right? But we're going to look into it. All right? Let's take a look into it. All right. Let's go to the book of Tobit chapter 1 and 1. And this is Tobit 1 and 1. It says the book of Tobit, Salakia. I'm going to go to verse 2 just to jump to the point. Verse 2, who in the time of Manasseh, king of the Assyrians, was led captive out of this which is at the right hand of that city, which is called properly Naphtali in Galilee. I think that's like Gilead, if I'm not mistaken, above Asher. Right. So this was around Nineveh. Okay, so let's go to verse 3. It says, I, Tobit, walked all the days of my life in the way of truth and justice, and I did many alms deeds to my brethren and my nation who came with me to Nineveh and to the land of the Assyrians. Now, the city of Nineveh was like, what is that, like the Pithom and Ramses of Egypt. It was like their capital. And Nineveh was well put together. It's a very well put together establishment. You can read about Nineveh in the book of Jonah. All right, which I'm gonna read a little something about Nineveh real quick in the book of Jonah. This is the King James Study Bible. I highly suggest brothers look into it. It has some good information in here. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the book of Jonah, so we can get a backstory or whatnot on. We can get a backstory on the city of Nineveh, because Nineveh was a very prominent or a rich city. All right, let's see if we can find it. All right, here it is. So I'm reading right here. See if I can put it up on the camera. About Nineveh. Right here. Alright. So, this is Nineveh. Because it's spoken about in Jonah chapter 1 verse 2. And I'll read Jonah 1 verse 2. It says, arise, go to Nineveh, that great city. When it speaks about something great, it means like something abundant and prosperous, you could say. All right. Even when it talks about Babylon, this Babylon, America, that great city, that whore. All right. Hey, look, America at a point, hey, was flourishing, and that's just factual when you go into it. All right. It says, "Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me." Correct. So he told Jonah to go prophesy against that rich city, which is called Nineveh, which was of the Assyrian kingdom. All right. And around this time, Jonah was, this was probably like 793 BC ish, during time of Jonah. So this was like well before, if I'm not mistaken. Um, this is before King Hezekiah. All right, this is, you would read this more so in Second Kings, the 14th chapter is the time place where this which originated. Okay, so Nineveh is an ancient capital city of the Assyrian Empire. Was founded by Nimrod. Genesis, you can go to Genesis 10 for that, but it's best known in the Bible as a place associated with Jonah's ministry. Several centuries before Jonah's preaching mission to the city, Nineveh became one of the royal residences of the Assyrian kings. Here, who's we're talking about right now. All right, Sennacherib ruled from, as you can see, 705 to 681 BC, made it the capital of the Assyrian Empire to offset the rival capital of Dusharrikin. All right, built by his father Sargon II. So we're gonna stop right there, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and click on Sargon II. This was the king that was before King Sennacherib. Now, he's not really mentioned in the scriptures, okay? He's not really mentioned in the scriptures. We're gonna get who is mentioned in the scriptures, and that would be Shalmaneser, who was before Sargon II. Okay, so we're gonna go to 2 Kings, the 18th chapter, real quick, because this was during the time of King Hoshea, and this is a prominent. I mean, this is a big time chapter that you have to know in order to understand what Yahushua was talking about to the disciples when he said, "Don't go into the land of the Sumerians." Okay, because around this time is what happened. Salakia. Around this time, in Samaria is when the Assyrians took out Israelites and put heathens there. All right. All right. So let's see. This is 2 Kings 18:1. It says, and now it came to pass in the third year of Hoshea, all right, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. You got to remember, you still had that Jeroboam and Rehoboam thing going on. All right, so you had two separate kings, but King Hezekiah was in the midst. This was in the inception of his rulership. All right, let's go down to verse 9. It says, and it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. There you go. He came up against Samaria, all right, and besieged it. Let's get that word Samaria. Oh, Salakia, let's open up a new tab real quick. And let's go into Samaria. I want to get what Yahushua said. All right. All right. Bear with me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I can find it better with my sword. Give me one. Bear with me one moment. Y'all brothers know what I'm looking for. That. There we go. I more so want. Let's go back a chapter. All right. So King Hosea. All right. Let's go to verse 24. There you go. 2 Kings 17 and 24. It says, the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and Cutha and from Ava and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, that's Sepharvaim, placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. See, instead, okay. So in place of, all right. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the city thereof. Since then, they've been dwelling in Samaria. So now it's in the book of Matthew, the 10th chapter. All right. So Matthew 10 and 5, it says, these 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. That's because of what? You got to go all the way back in history during the time of King Hoshea, and who? That King Salmanazar. All right. So we got that established, who was before Sargon II. And we got established after Sargon II was Sennacherib. All right. As you can see right down here, his predecessor was Shalmaneser. Then came Sargon II. Then we can go back to Sennacherib, who we're focusing on for today's lesson. All right. Now during Sennacherib's time, he was see right here. He was also a notable builder. It was under him that the Assyrian art reached its peak. Correct, because when you read here about Sennacherib and Nineveh, it says Sennacherib made it the capital of the Assyrian Empire to offset the rival capital, built by his father Sargon II. All right, he greatly beautified and adorned Nineveh. So, of course, the art reached its peak during the time of Sennacherib. Okay, his building projects included the beautification, right here, the beautification of Nineveh, which we're reading about right here in the book of Jonah. Okay, a canal 50 kilometers long to bring water to the city, in a place without rival. In the place without rival, which included what may have been the prototype of the legendary Hanging Gardens of Babylon, or even the actual Hanging Gardens. Okay, so he beautified that area of Nineveh. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into 2 Chronicles, the 32nd chapter, and just get a little backdrop on how he came up against the children of Israel during the time of King Hezekiah. Now, King Hezekiah was a righteous king. You can start reading about him, I want to say 2 chapters over, in 2 Chronicles 30. You can start there and read about him. That's how you know this king Hezekiah was a heavy king, when he got 3 chapters dedicated to himself, chapter 30, 31, and 32. When you go into chapter 33, that's speaking about his son, King Manasseh. And we know what King Manasseh did, man. All right. He made to forget. That's literally what his name means, because he has the same name as a tribe. Made to forget. And those are some things, if you did them, you would want to forget them. You know what I'm saying? But he did. That's another topic for another let's look into it segment, you know. But to continue, this is 2 Chronicles 32 and 1. It says, after these things, an establishment thereof, Sennacherib, king of Assyria came and entered into Judah and encamped against the fenced cities and thought to win them for himself. Now, what happened is Sennacherib actually did come and besiege a few cities. Okay, all right. Verse 2: and when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib was come, and that he was proposed to fight against Jerusalem, he took counsel and his princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains which were without the city, and they did help him. See, where do you think he got the idea of making a 50-kilometer long canal to bring water into the city? Of course, we're the salt of the sea. We're the salt of the earth. We bring the flavor to the earth. We bring the ideas and the innovations and things to the earth, and the inventions. You can even read about King, I think, Uzziah. He created the catapult. All right, when you go into it, I think I may be wrong, but it's like 2 Kings 24, something, I don't know, something like that. I can't remember. But you could read about harbor guns, if I'm pronouncing that right. But they're like a catapult, all right? And what? The Israelites created that. Also right here, water canals. Hezekiah created that to bring water into the city. All right? Let's keep going. Let me see something, because I wanted to get a specific something, okay? Because he was dealing with a prophet. And what prophet was that? During the time of King Hezekiah, the prophet at the time was Isaiah, okay? The son of Amos. All right, let's see if we go a chapter behind. Let's see what it says. This is him doing the Passover. It might just be this chapter. Bear with me 1 second as I find it. If not, we'll just keep it moving. But I do want to get into there we go. This is 2 Chronicles chapter 32 and 20. It says, and for this cause Hezekiah the king and the prophet Isaiah son of Amos prayed and cried to heaven. Now this is when they realized that Rabshakeh, who King Sennacherib sent to the children of Israel, and he was talking mad hot shit, you know. I'll get it. This is Isaiah 36 and 1, because this is speaking about the Assyrians coming up against King Hezekiah. This is verse 2. This is and the king Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army. So he sent a messenger with a great army to intimidate. It says that he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. All right, let's go down. All right. So he said all his stuff. All right. In verse 11, this is when it starts. The shit talk really starts. So verse 11, Isaiah 36 and 11. Then said Eliakim, and Shebna, and Joah unto Rabshakeh. Now these were men sent by King Hezekiah. All right. Speak, I pray thee, unto the servants in the Syrian language. All right. For we understand it. See, hey, Israelites were inclined back then. Okay. We knew multiple language and we knew people. All right. And it says, and speak not, Salakia, and speak not to us in the Jews' language, because ain't no Assurite. They're not worthy enough to speak our tongue. And I'm going to say that because Hosea 14 and 3, Ashur shall not save us. We will not ride upon horses, neither will we say any more to the work of our hands, ye are our gods, for in the fatherless findeth mercy. Okay, that's right. So who is that? Who is Ashur? Ashawar, which means what? A step. Okay, which is what? The people of Assyria. All right. So Sennacherib is Ashawar, and you can get it right here on the table of nations. Okay, as you can see, Assyria, Ashur, or Ashawar. All right. All right. So continuing in Isaiah 36, it says, and speak not to us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. Also, they didn't want them to speak that is because what? People understand, of course, the Hebrew tongue. Now, let's see what Rabshakeh said. But Rabshakeh said, hath my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Hath not he sent me to the men that sit upon the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Like, he didn't send me for that. He sent me to send a message to you. Then Rabshakeh stood with all disrespect and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language. So he just disregarded what Eliakim told him not to do. All right? Bet. You know what I'm saying? and said, hear ye the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Now, he said what he said, right? And Eliakim went back to King Hezekiah to tell him what he had said to us, okay? And what did Hezekiah do? He prayed to the Lord. He rent his clothes. He put a sackcloth on, okay? So we're going to go back. This is 2 Chronicles 32 and 20. And for this cause, King Hezekiah the king, and the prophet Isaiah, which we just got done reading about, all right, the son of Amos prayed and cried unto heaven. Verse 21. We're going to see what that prayer did and how it helped the children of Israel. Because when you read in the further chapters, the chapters behind, King Hezekiah, he kept the Passover, but it was in the second month. There was a reason why it was in the second month, because a lot of evil was done in the first month, and he just came back into reign. So he held the Passover in the second month. Hey, Judges 5 and 11, we rehearsed the righteous acts. That's all King Hezekiah was doing. And he prayed to the Lord because there were some at the Passover who weren't sanctified or who were unclean. And the Lord pardoned them because of the deed that King Hezekiah did. Okay? So continuing, verse 21, and the Lord sent an angel which cut off all the mighty men of valor and the leaders and captains in the camp of the king of Assyria. So he returned with the shame face to his own land. And when he came, Salakia, and when he was come into the house of his God, all right, that they came forth out of his own bowels, slew him with the sword. That's right. Because what? The Lord sent the angel to go and totally decimate that camp. All right. And if I'm not mistaken, that angel came and killed 185,000 by night. All right. Just one night killed 185,000. Easy money. Okay. Let me see if I can find it, matter of fact, just so I'm not speaking idly. All right, let's see. There we go. 2 Kings 19 and 35. And it came to pass that night that the angel, and this is what they prayed for, Isaiah and Hezekiah. This is what they prayed for. And this is what happened. And it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and smote the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. That angel came down and totally decimated them. So verse 36. So Sennacherib, this guy, Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, departed. He retreated. All right. Israel got the victory via Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh, back to his prized possession city. You know, so that goes to show you also, man. This is history, correct? It's in the past. It happened about 705 to 681 BC, in between that time frame. But guess what? What is always relevant? Calling on the name of the Lord and him sending an angel to assist you. The scriptures say the angels have charge over thee. Well, guess what? If we call on the Lord, he could send a legion of angels to come help you in that day of Jacob's trouble and get rid of a lot of heathens who are on your ass in that day. Or just give you spiritual power if you just call on the Lord. His name is a strong tower, isn't it? You know? So we just took a look into Sennacherib, who was the king of the Assyrians, who actually tried to come up against who? The Israelites at the time. Okay, during the reign of King Hezekiah, you know. So this is just a quick synopsis, maybe, you know, just a look into some facts. You can even do a deeper search. I'm just here to plant the seed, you know. Do a deeper search on Sennacherib and read about King Hezekiah, and read about the kings before him, King Hoshea, and read about the king after King Hezekiah, which is King Manasseh. Okay, and then you can read on so forth and so on till you get to King Josiah, King Jehoiachin, if I'm pronouncing that right, Zedekiah, until the fall and besiege of Babylon, or I mean Salakia, of Jerusalem by the Babylonians, by Nebuchadnezzar. I think I want to say around five something BC. I can check real quick. All right, this is Second Chronicles, the 36th chapter. Let's see. Second Chronicles 36, 587 to 586 BC was the time of the destruction of Jerusalem, the first destruction of Jerusalem, which you can read about also in a twofold prophecy in Psalm the 79th chapter, which also is speaking more pertaining to 70 AD, you know. But, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, and we just took a look into Sennacherib. All right, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. I'm the brother Kasha Quala from the GMS Atlanta Church, and until next time, I'm going to say Shalom.